So Black Shadow here, hope you're keeping fairly well. So we were doing some stream games a couple of nights or so ago as I practice for the Salt Throne tournament. And one of those games, last on the stream, playing as Paul Atredies, we had this crazy wild match with a potential runaway Baron and everyone trying to keep a rein on him. Some pretty gutsy alliance deals and lots of interesting spots. I thought it would make it really good for putting a video together to analyze what happened, looking at the decisions people made, and trying to learn a little bit something from it. It was a wild match. There'll be a link in the description below if you want to go ahead and just watch the whole thing fully. We're going to try to focus mainly on the particular flashpoints that occurred in the game, and just all of the absolute carnage that came of this. It was a good fight. For what was just a casual game of Dune, unranked, and all that, it was just one of the more cutthroat games I've seen in quite a while, with some very, very gutsy moves, but it was pretty entertaining regardless. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this little recap here, and we can learn something along the way as well. And of course, obviously this sort of thing, covering these videos and obviously stuff from the competition as well, you can obviously watch here on the channel here on Hidden Assets. You can follow, subscribe, we got a Discord, a Patreon, all that lovely good stuff. It's all in the description below. So have a look at the game itself then. We're taking this straight from the YouTube VOD, so don't worry about all bits of information around there. It should be fine. Anyways, so this was a game we played a couple of days ago. This was against Bafko, Cameron, and Tomek. And we got pulled into second position in this game here. Having a look at the opening row, and there was plenty going on, to be fair, actually. The Imperium row was pretty good, but I wasn't sure if it was so good it would get trashed here. Liet Kynes and Pite de Vries definitely looking pretty tasty. Occupation also sitting there in the opening row. Again, very hard to see anyone taking that, but still not too bad. The techs also were pretty decent as well. Sonic Snoopers is pretty interesting and can be used pretty aggressively, make plays very hard to get you. Invasion Ships as well was pretty interesting being in second position, as especially as the game turned out as well. And Troop Transport's also pretty nice. So lots of shipping stuff here and kind of keep the back foot. The thing that was of note, though, to me specifically was the Imperium row, specifically Industrial Espionage and Unnatural Reflexes, both in second position, pretty bad. Industrial's not something I'm going to really use because I need graph cards to work with it, and there aren't any. And our natural reflexes, being that it's a free cost, that means it's very hard to get that in second position. Usually you'd expect the person in third seat to be more likely to get hold of that first time around. This is what we had available, and I went for Paul Atredies in the end. We had played Tessie already on stream, although obviously Tessie's in second position is generally pretty decent. Una also may have not been too bad, actually, and I wouldn't have hated it. Although, maybe with local fence, you could do some kind of wacky stuff there. But other than that, it didn't feel Memnon and Vernius and Ariana. Of kind of three of the leaders, I'm not really going to play very often, so it was between the three, and I do like Paul Atredies, so we go ahead and give him a spin. No Helena was available. Wow, okay. Leo's across from us. Okay. Not the best of hands I could have drawn. See what happens. It's the mixed smuggling skirmish. It's pretty sad. I mean, I'm probably obliged to forward space here. I don't really see what else I've got. So the leader selection definitely took my interest. The only reason I took Paul is because there was no chance of like Leader or Ilban getting picked ahead of me, and thus obviously Mentat conflict. Because Paul could definitely make good use of Mentat. I thought was going to be perhaps less likely to inconvenience me. But as it turned out, yes, surrounded on all fronts by craziness. Tezia and Baron on both sides. Lido across from me as well. Making it a pretty gnarly set of leaders for Paul to have to kind of wade my way through. The hope was that Tezia and Baron would basically just try and take each other out, and that would give me some opportunities to go with. But our opening hand also was not the best. It was fine, I guess, for what we ended up doing. No Signet Ring, however. So with Tezia going smuggling, just figured, well, it's got to be double fold space and get hold of shipping immediately. Obviously, very uncomfortable to do that when you've got Tezia in front of you. Because, of course, she can get hold of shipping pretty quickly sometimes. And Lido as well, also in the game. So that didn't feel too great, but I don't really have much else to do here. And the combat's not like really worth going to Hardy Warriors to fight for particularly, so I end up just going for the smuggle, for the fold space that can go shipping, and just kind of sussing out from there. But things get funky very quickly in this game, as Baron Harkonnen ends up using experimentation to base in to put a troop in. And then Leo uses his experimentation to go hang a base. And so all the mining spots taken immediately. Really, really strange here. And Tezia then going with her signet ring to Carthag, hoping to maybe pull like an intrigue to get some influence somehow so she could shift it onto spacing. Doesn't find it though. So looking like no one really has any faction access. Lido now becomes the main concern, obviously with his signet ring. He's got the spy, so he can use that to chase me in shipping very quickly. And in full position, he's probably going to cut me out at some point. Everyone here has the potential to cut me out from getting a lot of shipping access. So pretty scary here. And it comes back to us, and we already have kind of a weird spot here. So we have 4 persuasion, which means that we can't buy Liet and we can't buy Paita. The other issue is that it's very possible that someone else has all this. Because of all this going on, you think someone's probably got double convincings, and someone's probably going to go ahead and early reveal. So I could dagger to tech negotiation to get to 5, but am I likely to see Liet? Am I likely to see Paita? It's not looking too good. They might be both gone by the time it gets around to me. And ultimately, I don't want any of them getting hold of that either. Paita and Liet, very, very dangerous in some of their hands here. So I end up deciding just to completely rip the row, reveal with 4, and kind of hope it all works out here. Huge gamble. And we end up finding Talaxu Surgeon coming up on the row here. Now, remember I mentioned earlier about the Talaxu row up here specifically, how it's very unremarkable. And I had a feeling that because the row's pretty quiet, and nothing that I'm really going to be making heavy use of, it seemed a great opportunity for me to pick up Talaxu Surgeon right now. And those specimens, which I figure are not going to be too useful, I figure most of the game, they're just going to be just building up and just getting people beetles. I can use this to supercharge my game here. And in the lack of like shipping probably getting cut off, this is like a fallback and something for me to really focus on. And the Emperor Alliance is always good to get hold of. Hitting wealth with Paul is nice. It pays for Mentat, stuff like that. So we make the kind of bold decision to sacrifice our second action going for the Surgeon early. It was a risk, definitely, but this was a game of a lot of risks taken. So play finishes out with the Baron taking Stupid, which I had a feeling he was going to once he went Imperial Basin. I think he had kind of an awkward hand and was going to make the best of it. I've seen before Baron just go in heavy intrigue, cycle load of them out, and make it all work out here. Lido then is able to go to Steel Suits, recover his water, put some troops in, which means that no one has 2 water at the moment, which is also very interesting. It means that the Great Flat is totally up for grabs, and Tezia revealing the daggers. You can see it was very, very dagger heavy here. And yeah, definitely I was happy with my decision. It was a bit brave. You shouldn't normally be sacrificing actions that early, but went for the choice in the end. Now, this is the next big part of the game, is right here. So the Baron with tech negotiation reveals for 5 and is eyeing up keys to power, eyeing up Lysana sort of bits and pieces. But the Baron ends up only deciding that what he sees there is not good enough, and he goes for the old Atomics fish. And he blows the rose, sees what he finds, and, okay, so we're going to do a time here. I want you to count how long it takes between this moment and how long it takes the Baron to pick the card. Ready? Watch is ready? Here we go. And clicks. Card. That was, I think, about a second and change. That is how quickly the Baron took Talaxu Master here. Absolutely ridiculous. It should be noted, there's lots of good cards to get on as well here. Negotiate Withdrawal, Firm Grip, both very, very strong cards. But Cameron immediately in there, the TM. Not even a point of thought about it. TM, not overpowered though. I just like it. Anyways, so Baron gets hold of the Talaxu Master, which is already pretty ominous. I'm like, oh dear, this doesn't look good. Lido reveals for a couple of daggers as well. And combat ends up getting tied here, I'm pretty sure here. Lido taking voice. And that is all we're here. So some fun cards now on the row here as well. Yeah, negotiate draws there. The Dissecting Kit as well. Very, very strong card. Really useful. Decent action early on. And reveals for Beetles later on is great. So everyone gets hold of a load of money. We go to the second round. So second round does go, and I have no choice. Basically, I'm just having to go shipping all day here. That's why I just put them both face up, because what can I ever do? I can't really use my Signet Ring here either, because, of course, if I use my Signet Ring, I do risk pulling Surgeon immediately, which would be a disaster. We've got to make sure to get both specimens in place. so that we can get the full value for that. And obviously the players know I've got Talaxu Surgeon, so going to Wealth is a pretty obvious block. But we can still need to go to Carfag or Arakeen. I'm going to have these troops in hand, so if I pull Surgeon early and someone goes Wealth to block me, I can still deploy my troops here and put pressure on the turn 3 conflict. A victory point as well here with Arakeen as well, so Baron just slams Hardy Warriors as he should do. Leto goes to Steel Suits again, a second time here, so immediately looks like he's going to be potentially vying with the Baron for the Fremen Alliance. Tesia goes to Wealth here, looking to probably pick up the third place here, so she can get her Swordmaster going without having to use her shipping. Makes logical sense. Obviously, we just ship. There's nothing else for me to do. Baron goes Secrets again, looking to play into a big Sonic Snooper strategy. Just get as many intrigues as possible, get up to like 4, 5, or 6, cycle loads of them out, rock and roll with that, makes sense. Leto goes Tech Negotiation to get hold of Mimic Film, which is obviously pretty good, and start making his chase onto the shipping track. Obviously is not good for me, and it is definitely a concern. And then Tesia just limps in the troop as mentioned, you would think, but she decides, no, I'm actually going to go smuggling here instead and cash in, which was a little bit surprising. I guess was expecting to pick up the other coin somehow else, but I was expected to do that, but regardless. We reveal for free and managed to pick up Dissecting Kit, which is huge. Didn't expect that at all. This has become very, very important. We pick this up later on. Baron, of course, is now already going all in pretty much on anything that has card draw and, you know, reveal effects, that sort of thing. So goes for the liaison to get the reveals. Look to start buying Sparsus Flows immediately. So an interesting early spot here was made by Tomek here. He reveals a 6. Given his Tech Negotiation and Mimic, but decides to pick up Firm Grip here for 4, which is a bit of a surprise. Pretty strong card. Leto as well can get a lot of value out of that. He obviously he can get to Wealth, and it pays some mentats more than it would do for other people. Maybe he was concerned about the fact that I had the Talaxu Surgeon, and that he was going to struggle to get hold of his Emperor's Spaces. But even Firm Grip just to like mentat or whatever else is still not that bad. But he decides to go ahead and rip this row, which is pretty bold here. Going hunting for something better, and he pulls pretty decent here. Look at these cards here. Esmar, Mahayam, Peddler here. But of note is he finds Long Reach, and he just bought the Voice. He's pretty happy. He's pretty happy, and the allure of crazy bumps is just simply too good to avoid. So Tesia takes Water Peddler as well as the Jesuit Sister. I don't know if Tesia took up Water, actually. I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, Leto gets his second place cheaply, so he's already at Swordmaster, which is pretty crazy. Baron's got his Combat VP and Arakeen, which is going to fund him getting hold of more things. He's got Talaxu Master as well. Baron already looking pretty strong in this game as well, so pretty concerned. The only good thing, at least, is Baron is not going to be able to ship very much because I'm already there in front of him. But if he was to pick up like invasion ships or something, like it would be an absolute car wreck. So move on to the third round. It is the Mentat conflict here. And, you know, not too bad here. So, again, Baron just going all in on this sort of thing. Just going all in on intrigues. It was the plan. And just basically looking to get a load of them, cycle them through, and just brute force the game that way, which is not the worst idea. So Leto goes Fold Space to obviously get his shipping access. Tesia goes to Wealth to get her Swordmaster ready, but it also doubles as a block on our Talaxu Surgeon, which we do draw, which is obviously a bit of a problem. But as I mentioned earlier, the thing at least with having a garrison in hand is that we can look to target this conflict if we pull Surgeon and we get blocked, which is exactly what happens. So not too bad here. Unfortunately, Carfag has already been taken, which I would have preferred. Arakeen will draw me my Signet Ring, however, so I've got a little bit of a tricky spot here as to what to do. Double Dags experimentation, so my access is kind of limited. Obviously, I have to go shipping first because Leto goes there, but they've got the question of what to do with my shipping immediately, and specifically, how am I going to proceed with text? The problem I've got here now is that now I'm going to ship, but Leto's going to get hold of shipping before me next round, and Tesia might well find a way to get there ahead of me next round again, so it might be a while until my next interstellar shipping. So the debate is, do I decide to go for a tech right now? Disposability is not bad, but I don't really know how often I'm going to have 6 persuasion. But troop transports in this situation would be pretty good for me, actually, as it allows me to obviously get some troops in, make sure I'm going to take this Mentat down. I'm not going to get hold of Swordmaster for a long time, so trying to dominate Mentat as much as possible seems pretty strong here. So we go for the troop transports, put the dudes in, and see how the rest of the round plays out. Next card's Signet Ring. It's a bit of a shame. But oh well. You'll go Mentat, surely. Yeah. Pretty automatic. So let's go Harkonnen. I lose the ring. It's not a big deal. What do we want to put in here? Put in one. So I do kind of predict what was going to happen here, figuring that Leto is going to go Swordmaster, and Tezia, I reckon, is going Mentat, because I think she wants to also get hold of Mentat this combat if possible. I mean, I'm pretty sure going to Harkonnen. It means it's twice that I don't get to use Paul's ring for anything, which is kind of sad, but what can you do? But we do end up cashing in the specimens and picking up Stage Incident. This is absolutely huge. It's a great card. It's a great spot for me as well. I was kind of considering, do I actually just go ahead and cash it in now? Do I put in like 5 troops looking to get rid of 3 and looking to just cash in stages immediately? But there's no really any necessary need to do that. Yeah, it's the only intrigue I've got. I'm not going to run out of it any single time here, so I should be okay for the time being. Keeping hold of it. And in a world where I end up with 10 strength and red just limps in one person, I might still stage instant this fight with 4 dudes and still take the game. Like, getting hold of the Mentat for me is too important, and I can't really sacrifice that. So a horror situation arises when the ban reveals for 5, including Talaxu Master, and the writing is already starting to form on the wall here. Absolute perfect spot for Baron, just to basically go all in on drawing cards and just buy for flows as much as possible here. So takes the 2 bumps to get hold of both Industrial Espionage as well as Unnatural Reflexes. I don't know about Industrial, needing the Graph to go over it. You've only got the 1, but Unnatural Reflexes, just to find TM faster, to find Unnatural Reflexes faster. It's just an absolute spiral. Absolutely deadly. And also with 5, he's able to pick up Steel Suits Manufacturer, which is absolutely terrifying. Steel Suits Manufacturer is a crazy good card if you can get hold of the Alliance. And yeah, it's a great spot to play. I know this from pool games I've played before, getting hold of Steel Suits. If you can get this active and rocking and rolling, you can just print almost infinite spice. And that with TM and like Unnatural Reflexes is just, it's pretty terrifying. The only hope is to end this game somehow before Baron can get maximum use out of. But he's got natural reflexes. He's just gonna see it so early. He just got to start just hitting selective breeding, and yeah. I don't know why I'm worrying about this anymore. Like, if we're gonna win this, it's not because of anything I'm about to do. So things looking pretty ominous already, but it does have the interesting impact that because the Baron is just so dangerous looking, that he just takes nuclear heat from tail, which does play a part later on. Anyways, Leo does go Great Flat, which is pretty much forced to get hold of the spice ahead of Tezia. So Tezia ends up going Research Station, which I didn't quite expect, but it made sense. It's a pretty pricey row. So, of course, she was looking to, like, obviously be able to afford something. Maybe had, like, 3 or 4 Persuasion. Was looking to get hold of maybe, like, Mahayim, Boundless, something like that. But, you know, so she goes ahead and does that. Re-reveal for free, getting hold of a Liaison. Thinking we're probably going to need to buy some Spice to Float at some point in this game. Lito ends up revealing for 5 here and gets hold of Boundless Ambition. So, Lito's now got his Signet Ring. He's got Boundless Ambition, which is a Signet Ring. He's got Shipping Access, which he can do with a Signet Ring. And he's also got Long Reach enabled with the voice. He has almost infinite faction power here, and it's pretty scary for people looking to, like, defend alliances. Uncomfortable. So Tezia ends up revealing for 5, which I think she was probably looking to get hold of Mahayim, but missed it. But she ends up grabbing hold of Esmar, which is pretty decent. Passive generation of resources, and also maybe just getting hold of those spacing bumps, which she gets to get hold of there. And combat resolves as it is. Very fortunately for us, however, we pull Guild Authorization as our intrigue here. So feeling a little bit happier about this alliance. And yeah, it's pretty terrifying. The amount of power that Leader has to chase alliance down is very frightening. So round 4 brings the raid stockpiles over spice and intrigue. So pretty quiet combats here, which isn't great. No victory point for us to take advantage of our superior garrison for, which is a little bit of a shame. What can you do? Leto ships, and then we kind of hope that Tessia decides to greed Swordmaster. Of course, she is in theory the only person that could get access to it. And I'm hoping that Tessia decides to do something else first instead of going Swordmaster. We can use our guild authorization, get the coins, and steal it. But very unfortunately for us, she doesn't do that, sadly, and she does end up Swordmastering, which is kind of a shame. So at this point, I'm already basically thinking to myself, I have to prevent Leto from getting any ideas of trying to take hold of this alliance. And so we end up using guild authorization immediately just to secure the alliance. And then we go ahead and fold space secrets, noticing that the Baron has 4 intrigues and that we're already recognizing he has to be stopped. And we've got to do something about it. We've got to be really proactive about it. So I decide to go in. Maybe I can pick up some decent intrigue. We end up picking strategic push from him, which isn't the best of cards. But I pine bribery off of the deck, which is huge for us here. So I'm pretty sure that even if Leto decides he's going to try something funky on the alliance here, that we're going to be able to defend that pretty solidly. We pulled Dissecting, though, which is a little bit tricky here. So again, as mentioned, Dissecting is a card you want to typically reveal once you get the first genetic marker, but it's kind of hard for me to actually use that here and get hold of that without using my experimentation. And it's like, well, where could I go? I know I've got Hagar Basin here, which is tempting, but I'm probably not going to get back round to me. I've got to hope Tessia decides not to go there, but I imagine she probably will. So that's something I've got to suss out here. Honestly, I might just hit Fold Space. I honestly might just hit Fold Space and call it a day here. And I can bribe something else. And again, the Fold Space cards are good because obviously as Paul, you get the extra bonus of knowing what you're going to draw into, which is always great. So... And if I take that bump, the alliance is just permanently safe. I never have to worry about Leto doing crazy shit. I've got to get Leto to go for the Baron. I've got to get Leto to go for the Baron here, so... I think this is fine. So Leto goes to Siege to pick up some water. I'm not entirely sure why, because he didn't have too much else to do. He had his Signet Ring, but decided not to use it, which is very interesting. So he's kind of looking to wait to see what's going to happen on the ground. Tessia picks up the Spice of Hagar Basin as expected, and then it comes around to us to decide how to proceed with the situation. And as mentioned, at this point, I've already realized that Baron, if he's not stopped, is just going to win the game. The thing is that Leto obviously has crazy chase potential as well. So I end up deciding just to hit Fold Space again in the attempt of just protecting the alliance. That way, Leto, unless he can find a quadruple bump, which is basically impossible, he can never realistically challenge my alliance here. I've got bribery just in case something crazy happens as well. And the idea basically is to try and influence Blue to use that chase power on the Fremen alliance. It's sitting right there, and the Baron must know that that's going to be the case there, and that is very, very terrifying indeed. I've got to try and get Leto to go for Baron, because I can't do anything about Baron. But if I hit the alliance that hard, Leto might have more incentive to now go Fremen alliance instead of me, with like Boundless Ambition or something. And that's kind of the only thing I can really do here. He's just put the spacing so far out of his reach that he doesn't even, worry about it. So Baron going all in on Spice plus Foe strategy here, which is completely ridiculous, but it's where we're at here. Going High Council, getting the triple draw and research, and again, just further justifying, well, I'm pretty sure if we don't do anything, he's just going to win the game. Leto ends up going to Smuggling with his Signet Ring. And very sadly to me, figuring he's surely going to use the double bump here to take the Fremen away from the Baron, he decides not to. He goes Bene Gesserit because he had the Bene Gesserit intrigue, Sisters of Secrethood. So he goes for the he decides to go for this alliance instead, leaving the Baron completely free in the Fremen, which is bad news for me. Not excited to see that at all, but I kind of get why he decided to do that. But he still has that crazy chase potential. And so maybe he might go for it later on, depending on how it goes here. Yeah, I think I trust experimentation here. It's a little risky. But if I can get the water together, I can get the specimens via research. It's a little dangerous, admittedly, but I think this is a risk I'm willing to take. Let's go Carthag. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That could potentially be pretty decent. Get rid of this dagger as well for the extra specimen. So lots happening here. We take the gamble of trashing our experimentation card on the calculated gamble that I'm going to be able to generate enough specimens to get hold of both Talaxu points between dissecting kit reveals and just picking up loose specimens off the other experimentation. I figure I've got 5 bumps to find. That means I need 4 specimens for 2 surgeon hits and 1 dissection reveal, and I figure that I can just about make that work. But we also pick a quid pro quo here, so we've suddenly got loads of faction stuff going on here. Pretty crazy. Baron Water of Lives, looking for his Talaxu Master, but doesn't find it here, but still picking up for the Spiceless Flow here. So Baron buying Spiceless Flow on round 3. It's completely absurd. And without Talaxu Master even in his hand, of course, he's got it in his deck. Blue reveals, picking up the Talaxu Infiltrator, which obviously is an amazing card, and pretty uncomfortable to him to have that. And then Tezia revealing for some resources here with Esmar. So she's going to be able to like really threaten a lot of Highlander action because of Esmar just basically paying for that sort of semi on the side. Which is obviously pretty intimidating. We do get Stitched Horror that comes up on the row here, however. And interesting enough, Tezia decides not to go for it. She decides instead to take the Talaxu bump, which was a bit of a surprise. Stitched Horror, of course, an incredibly strong card here. Maybe wasn't the best suited for Tezia, but it's Stitched Horror, which is pretty good. It's just a bit of because I would love to get Stitched Horror knowing that Red's turned it down, but because I've trashed my experimentation, it's so dangerous to do that. I mean, you could in theory get hold of it and get my Beetle back via that, and that's probably true. But, you know, it's not the best ideal for me. Red ends up punishing Blue, double-crossing him out of the conflict for a couple of spies. That's what happens when you limp in the single troop. Combat resolves pretty much as per, using our push for a couple of coins, and we pick up for our intrigue, counts as dispensation, which I've seen a lot in the past several games here. Not ideal for us at all. I don't see exactly when I'm going to get hold of High Council this game, but, you know, it can be useful for Paul. Let's see what we draw. That's our hand. I'm honestly eyeing up Steel Suits Hardy Warriors here. Baron has no water. I think we've got to take full advantage of this. Am I willing to give up shipping for this? Am I willing to give up shipping to do this? I think I'm willing to give up shipping to do this, kids. I'm not giving up Swordmaster. I can still get Swordmaster. It's only yellow left to claim that. So beginning of round 5, and we have a massive decision point to make here. Now, as noted, Baron used Water of Life in the last round, which meant that he has no water. And of course, he really wants to form an alliance because he has Steel Suits Manufacturing. Remember he bought that card? Remember I told you how absolutely bust that is with the alliance? And again, me realizing that if Baron gets that online, it's just going to run away with this game. I'm eyeing up going Steel Suit and Hardy Warriors coupled with Quid Pro Quo to just swipe that alliance away from him. This is, if I'm ever going to stop the Baron getting the Fremen alliance, it's got to be done now. Now, the issue, of course, is that to do that, I've got to sacrifice shipping, which is not great, and it's not pleasant. And my assumption is that Cameron thoroughly expected me not to give up shipping, because who gives up instead of shipping willy-nilly? Like, you've got to have a pretty good reason for that, but I figured, given the situation it had and just how much danger was, Baron buying Spice Must Flow in, like, the third round sort of thing, completely absurd. And I'm like, I've just got to put an end to this. So I end up making the sacrifice, giving up shipping, knowing I can still probably get to Swordmaster, hopefully, and looking to go for the Steel Suits to make the push ourselves. Leo's not going to do it, so if Leo's not going to do it, we've got to do it. Now, the other complication of this as well is that we, of course, need to get Dissecting Kit online with one more experimentation bump. And, of course, I've only got one experimentation card now, so if I don't experiment, I can never get over this line, and I can never start revealing Dissecting Kit for the extra, for the Beetle. This is obviously a problem of having trashed the other one, and this was obviously a danger of that situation. But I figure that if the game goes another 2 or 3 rounds, I can do it. And if I'm going Steel Suits and such anyways, taking this alliance, I might have enough water to start hitting Research Station myself, and I might be able to brute force myself over the line. But this is a very, very dangerous situation. If it goes wrong, I'm completely dead in the water here, but I figure Baron is just too dangerous to let alone here. Besides, he wants water to go Research Station as well. I think I've got to just do this. I gotta deprive him of water. I feel this has got to be done. But yeah, this is I think it's got to be stopped because it's just such an obvious place for Baron to go. Gets to water, Research Station, you're off to the races. I'm pretty sure this was going to be his move, so I think this is worth giving up on shipping for. Yeah. That is not the move he wanted to make at all. So it was an interesting response from Baron, actually, to go Mentat. Not what I entirely expected. I would have thought that he'd probably look to try to go Siege if he could to pick up the water. Obviously, he can't do Siege with the Steel Suit Manufacturer that's in his hand because he needs that to get on to Hardy Warriors. So he's kind of looking to, I guess, just draw more cards, kind of stall a little bit here, maybe very unsure what to do, and just kind of looking to buy a bit of time to kind of rethink the plan, because, Baron as well, Cameron, had struck me as, was pretty quick to, decide, right, this is going to be my strategy, this is what I'm going to do for this turn. So suddenly this massive curveball comes his way, and he's got to think on his feet, and maybe just decided he wanted a little bit more time, which is fine. The turn continues to get wackier, however, as after getting the draw for the Dissecting, which I knew was coming, hence the problem with the experimentation, leaving that be, we then end up finding out that our card following is our Talaxu Surgeon. No, I really don't want to draw that because I'm going to need it next round to start getting these specimens cashed in, get hold of the victory points, start making some progress on the Emperor Alliance here. So after Lido goes for High Council and Tessia takes Hollow Projectors with a Dreadnought, we end up deciding that we probably still need to look to try to... It's a really awkward spot here, but I'm trying to work out, is there any way that I can use Dissecting Kit or manage to get hold of the Specimen Bump for it? And I decided it's just not realistic here. So what I ended up deciding to do is going to the Swordmaster here and not drawing the next card. It's so rare that you want to do this, but this is one of the advantages of playing as Paul Atredies. Because you know what you're going to draw into, it means you know if it's a card you don't want to draw into, because all the other time, anyone else, you just pull the next card and just work with it as you go. So we end up giving up, sort of sacrificing more stuff here in this bizarre turn, and finding our way to do that. But we also decide, after a bit of thinking, trying to look at, is it possible I can get to Dissecting It? I'm wondering, can I get to Research Station this round and so I can reveal Dissecting It, or am I going to have to sacrifice it? And I am deciding it's not worth it. I don't think I'm going to find it enough of the time. I probably have to go Hardy Warriors again to deny Baron and just take that alliance. It's too important here. So we end up giving up the recon here. Dissecting Kit not revealed again. But it does give me enough specimens and means that I now have enough specimens in hand, in play, for me just to know I can hit Talaxi Surgeon twice, find this bump somewhere, somehow, and look to win the game. Or at least try to make a good dent into trying to stop the Baron. Yeah, you see, he's going Siege. This is how much Baron wants water right now. He's desperate for it. He's absolutely desperate for it. No, I think this is fine. I'm playing very high risk here, but I feel given the Baron spot situation, I think I've just got to just play total risk here and just gamble. It sucks if Leo also comes for this alliance. That would be pretty bad. The other alternative is I fold space somewhere else. Like, Diplo's coming. So I could Hardy Warriors next round, actually. If I'm giving up on shipping, which I basically am at this point. Well, I don't have to. I got Surgeon coming up. Baron also has the water now. Yeah. Baron also has the water right now. So this probably is forced. And we just don't draw. And we save the card for later. Do we put the troops in? That's the next question. Do we put the troops in now? I think so. And just be absolutely in the Baron's face. Absolutely all in the Baron's face here. And just not allow it. Yeah, he had the water access, so this was the right call. Like, this is ultra aggressive stuff. This is real cutthroat, but it's the only way we're going to stop Baron. Is just going absolutely all in. To the point I might even go Fremen again next round. And just lock in this alliance. And just say, what are you going to do about it? So at this point, Baron is probably kind of hating his life, but this is the thing. Like, he's such an ominous position here that players are going to play back at you more, and you kind of have to. Now, the trick for us with Paul, at least here, is that we're not just doing these actions to slow down Baron, but we're trying to play it into our own strategy. And obviously, we're like taking the alliance point, but I'm also trying to justify, right, I'm getting hold of a load of water here, so what am I going to do with the water? What's the plan with the water? Am I going to go for spice, look to hit highliners, go for more combat? Am I going to use it for selective breed, for research station even at some point to look to, you know, obviously, like, get hold of my extra bumps here? This is the trick here. I do think that there's a lot of prisoners' dilemmas that come up in this game of situations where there's someone who's threatening to run away or is running away, and the table recognizes it, and the table all sees that the person needs to be stopped, but everyone waits for someone else to do it, unless it, like, specifically benefits them, and, like, directly. Sometimes you got to make bits of leap of faith here, but this is the whole kind of thing, like, with the Spacing Alliance here, kind of saying, right, if I just put this so far out of reach that Leto can't possibly go for me, then the next obvious target for him to go for is the Baron, because he has to be stopped at all costs here. Because Tezzy is miles in front, and I'm miles in front. This is the obvious one to fight. Now, I didn't expect him to go all in on the Emperor at this point. I was like, that's pretty terrifying on the Bene Gesserit. And he could still go for the Fremen, and that is a deep concern. It's still the next obvious alliance to go for here. But he knows I'm going pretty heavy at it. I've sacrificed shipping pretty much entirely for the sake of this, which is pretty crazy. So at this point, there's pretty much a statement saying, I'm going for this, and that's just the way it's got to be. We also do put the troops in here as well, expecting to probably sacrifice them a stage instant. But then I kind of look around and I realize, well, hold on a second. How's everyone actually going to win this conflict here? Tezzy's garrisoned up, but she's out of actions. Baron's only got one dude in here. Leto probably, like, could well go Carfag, and if he has any swords, I'm just dead here. But I'm thinking, well, there might be worlds where I could possibly even win this conflict, which would be crazy. But I've got stage instant basically the backup, and I'm expecting to use that. So Baron with a pretty sad trip to Arakeen. Obviously wasn't part of the plan, but not really being allowed anything else here. He's still drawing the majority of his deck, though, this hand, and most hands as well, which is still pretty insane. Obviously concerned that he's going to look to bump down to get hold of the influence bump and continue to fight me here, but it's pretty clear at this point that I'm just going to go for this at all hell's costs, and you know, maybe the fact that I'm ahead of him as well in turn order might turn away. I don't know. Depends how much he thinks he can get it. Leto goes to breeding, begins chasing the Emperor for the point there. Tezza revealing for Mahayim, which obviously is, again, more spice that she's getting on reveals. So Tezza has near infinite spice this game, which is pretty insane. And then we then make the reveal for free. Getting hold of an extra lesson, so I'm good on specimens for the rest of the game here. Getting hold of the liaison. This was another chance for me to pick up Stitched Horror, admittedly, and I just completely missed it. In the midst of everything that was going on, I probably should have taken the card at this point and just forgot entirely. Baron reveals the TM and decides not to go for the influence bump and does go up for the Beetle, cashing in, getting hold of that 2 spice, and then going up to cycle out an Intrigue, Advanced Weaponry. Obviously not going particularly combat heavy here and going for more bits and pieces. Another spice must flow here, just completely absurd. So that is kind of supplanting the fact that he is obviously... if I can secure the Fremen Alliance, Baron just can't get an alliance in this game, and he's just completely restricted. So it's a massive, massive point to fight for here. Leto ends up revealing for 8 here, including the Talaximaster reveal here, which is kind of insane. And I'm trying to work out where he drew that 6th card from. I'm not entirely sure. Did he pair up? So I can't even quite remember now at this point. But anyways, reveals for 8, picks up full-scale Assault in the row, which is pretty dangerous. So Leo's saying that he wants a piece of the later conflicts in the game. Obviously, this is a very scary card to throw to a city, just get absolutely tons of dudes in. So it's pretty intimidating. Looks like Tezia and Leda are going to be the two going to conflict for the later game combats, because I'm not in a position to go for them. And Baron might feel he has to, but it's kind of hard to know at this point. So yeah, we come into this conflict. Leto doesn't go into it, which is great for me. And I thoroughly expect Baron to play anything just to take the conflict down, but he doesn't. He passes. Massive bonus point for us here. This is worth nearly like 2 or 3 victory points. Finally, a combat VP in this game is completely crazy. Oh, you gotta be shitting me. That's unlucky. That is unlucky. That is very unlucky. I don't see the point of shipping anymore. I'm never going to cash it in. But what else am I doing here? Imperial Basin, there's free spice for no water, which is very tempting. That opens up Conspiring, which I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I'd probably have to. So a horror draw for us here, as I somehow don't pull the Diplo, and it sits there in my draw pile, meaning my options here are very, very limited. Of course, again, same position with Taxi Surgeon. I want to use it, and I will get used to it, but I'm desperate to find a trip to wealth here, and I am obviously very concerned someone might block it, seeing as Baron hasn't gone there, Leto might want to get his point there, Tezia might go there to get the alliance sorted again. So it's looking pretty doubtful I'm going to be able to get there. There's plenty of spice in Basin, so I could use that to guarantee Conspire, because I don't think Tezzie's ever going there, and no one else really is ever... Everyone's really ever going there at this point. But it seems crazy to give it instead of shipping again here. And I can just do it with my ring and draw my Diplo, which I end up deciding to do here. Now, we are helped by the fact that at the end of the last round, when Baron pulled his extra cut off with TM, that he pulled off his Diplo, which means, again, it's hard for Baron to get to the Throne Alliance, which makes, you know, the fact I couldn't get them immediately slightly better, but it was obviously not in my real control here. So Baron goes Research Station, as he should do again, just looking to buy as many spice flows as possible. Lido goes Mentat. Tezia picks up the free spice, allowing us to get to Wealth with Surgeon, which is huge. Massive, massive move for us. We get hold of our 6th point with the Talaxu. Baron goes Arakeen. Again, basically everything he's doing at this point is just drawing as many cards as humanly possible. Everything Baron's doing is just any kind of card draw he can get, he will do. There's no it now. That's where we're at. It's kind of crazy. So what do we think? Do we think Hardy Warriors? Tezzy is looking more and more like she's got Grand Conspiracy. Are we thinking Hardy Warriors and just keep the troops in garrison so we can stage them later? I guess. This alliance has to be here. I cannot let Baron get it. No, I don't have a lot. I've only got the 2. Which is obviously the risk when you get rid of the experimentation. But I might be able to pick up a 3rd here. Lido full spaces Siege, which is pretty surprising. Again, making me think that he was going to initially hit well for that to get the point, but couldn't do it. And not really anything else particularly interesting. Doesn't have the spice for selective breeding, and secrets is kind of like a bit of a mess spot. So probably getting hold of the water with intentions to go Research Station next round would be my guess. Tezzy picks up invasion ships with the 2nd Dreadnought. Again, looking very, very dangerous. Rapid mobilization, now definitely a concern. And I decide, got to hit Hardy Warriors. I've got to put this alliance completely out of the Baron's reach and just work it from there. Of course, we have the issue that we still need to pick up these 2 friendship points, and I'm struggling for ways to do that. And as mentioned as well, with regarding, like, I can obviously get one with smuggling, for example, but it's kind of hard for me to get to there because I've only got 2 cards in my deck that actually get me access there. But as I mentioned, I'm eyeing up a 3rd. I'm eyeing up Guild Chief Administrator. It's not a card I'm normally interested in, but this seemed actually a completely perfect spot to pick her up. Oh, we drew Unnatural. Look at this. 3 spice in 6 rounds. It's just completely freaking absurd. You know? It's absolutely freaking absurd, this. It just shouldn't be a thing. Lido held back voice. Is Lido gonna block up Highliner? I don't know what Lido's gonna block here. You blocking Carthag? I don't hate blocking Carthag with this. It's a bit unorthodox, but... I think I would block Carthag here. Or the spice, I guess. That's the other option. I think Tezzy would have already claimed it, though, at this point. I don't know if they can get there. So what we're going to do is I think we're going to buy Guild Chief Admin, because what this does is it means if I don't have to go shipping... Yeah, I think Tezzy just goes Carthag, he let her go there. Guild Chief Admin gives us triangle access if we need it, but it also means we can just reveal for the shipping bump. And of course we have troop transports. So it'd be pretty nice to get hold of that. So it allows us to deploy after we normally would be able to. So getting that is just good for us. In all manner of ways, it's good for us. So yeah, a pretty unique situation of having specifically troop transport and stage incident, making having access to a reveal shipping bump just so much more powerful than it would do. Again, it's not a card I particularly like. It's very clunky. It's kind of hard to use, and just buying it for the shipping bump is like, it's okay, I guess. But yeah, just this bizarre situation. And of course, if we cash in via that, that gives us a bump as well. So I can suddenly make loads of points out of absolutely nowhere, and no one can do anything about it. So real good chance for us here. Lina and Tesia both reveal and both take power plays, which is pretty terrifying. And then they end up duking it out here for the conflict. And I'm expecting maybe some fireworks. Not entirely sure what happens here. But blue ends up passing. Red here decides to get greedy. And they go for gruesome. They look to go for everything here. Take the victory point here. Get gruesome as well to get the cubes. Get this here. And also to try and make a push for the second one. But blue penalizes them and catches them out. Red goes for it, and blue peels off the tactician, claiming the battle victory point, and blue had red nothing to do there. So red basically caught with her hand in the cookie jar, going for the bluff, because typically when people use gruesome or stage or something, they were leading. They're saying, I've still got a card to win here. But as it turned out, they didn't. So that's the way it goes. Bit unlucky for red, perhaps. But good on blue for having the opportunity there to take that there. And so going into the 7th round and going to the tier 3s, here's the situation. Me, yellow, and red all on 6, and blue all on 6 points. Red is trailing behind, however, on 3. It's not been an ideal game for Tesia, but it's been kind of chaotic, this. I'm sure there's been a little bit of opportunity lost as well. Again, I had another chance. I had a chance to pick up Stitched earlier, but took the Beetle bump. I think that was just a mistake, and Tesia should definitely have grabbed that. But other than that, you know, she is definitely set up to look to put a lot of pressure on the tier 3 conflicts and make the catch-up via conflict. So a tricky spot for us here, not pulling hold of the Talaxu Surgeon, which is going to be huge. Basically, Talaxu Surgeon at this point is 2 points. Both the Emperor Friendship as well as pretty much getting us to the Talaxu point here as well. But we don't draw it, so I'm like, uh-oh, this could be bad. I need the game to go 2 rounds now. And there's no guarantee it will here, potentially. Baron's up first, though, and Baron has a horrible situation here. He is eyeing up this conflict. Of course, bear in mind, he still needs to get his friendships. He's only, he's sacrificed all of these because obviously of the fighting with the Fremen. And a couple, maybe an unlucky Diplo draw or 2 as well. So Baron is eyeing up going for Highliners and making a punt for this conflict here in the face of some pretty scary opposition from Red. But it's 2 victory points, and he's guaranteed 1 and is going to get hold of 2 more, and that is definitely an option here. But it's a tricky spot for Baron. He never got his Swordmaster. He's first to act, so he's action economy to the ground here, and everyone is going to have the opportunity to react to him. Even Blue might decide to do some crazy stuff. You never know. But Tesia looks very, very scary here. Curious to see what Tesia's going to do first. Yeah, just grab a Mentat. This is a Baron who's unhappy. Jesus, fucking Talaxu infiltrating. Yeah, you can't do that. You only get blue access. You can't go... This is not activated. Kit is still not active, I know. I'm hoping to activate it. Yeah, you can't long reach immediately like that and go shipping. That is not allowed. So he has to experiment to do it instead. So Baron Mentats, again, kind of looking to see which way the wind's going to blow. You've got 3 players that can all go Highliner here. But the crazy situation of it is that Tesia could, but all of her specimens are here as well. So she's only got like 2 or 3 things in the bowl. So she'd have to sacrifice some of these in order to do so, which she might not be willing. Lido could also potentially go Highliner, but he has to have access to it, which is pretty random at this point. But he also is kind of doesn't want to, because if he pulls Boundless Ambition, if he goes Highliner, he uses all his spice, and of course he wants to use Boundless in order to like try and maybe chase the Emperor Alliance, maybe chase me. He has now got a 3rd bump with the Fremen, which is making life a little uncomfortable for me. Can't say I'm too much of a fan of that. I think so. Our combat is done. We've got a combat VP out of this, which is pretty good. Shuttle Fleet turns up. Shuttle Fleet turns up. That's bad. That's just what Baron needs, is Shuttle Fleet. What a turn up for the Baron. Oh my god. It's pretty dirty. So, I think we have to research station here. Or we smuggle now. But Tessie's got so much water. Like, she's just research stationing every day here. Where am I going with my research? No, the problem is I don't get to research is the problem. And I don't think smuggling is getting blocked. I think research is getting blocked. I don't think smuggling is. I'm in a weird spot here. I could go up, and dissecting and specimens will get me the Talaxi point now. It does close Fremen. But I don't think Baron's going to get free bumps there. I think Baron's going Highlander anyways. Or Shuttle Fleet. He's not going Fremen. Baron does not have free bumps. There's no way he has it. So I think it's safe to go for. I'm just trying to work out if I go up. Then I don't need Surgeon. I can then reveal Surgeon for 2. So I think we do this now. Okay, that's not bad. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10. I think we go up. No point putting them in right now. So gutsy decisions being made here. Bargaining that smuggling's not going to get taken by an agent. So I'm hoping I can still cash that in later on in case I don't find Guild Chief Admin, which I do. So thankfully I don't have to worry about it anymore. But you can see the rationale here. I'm thinking, well, obviously I think my intention is to play Talaxu Surgeon. But if I get my free specimen bumps from 1, 2, 3, then I don't need to worry about it. And I can actually reveal Surgeon for 2 Persuasion, look to buy Spicer's Flow. Basically, the plan is to end the game right now because, of course, we're never going to be competitive at any of these victory points, and the game's just going to be going completely insane here. There is a route to 10. If I'm at 6, if I can get... this point is 7, stage would be 8, and then if I can buy Spicer's Flow, it would be 9, and if I can find a bump with either the Emperor or the Bene Gesserit, it gets me to 10. Now, is 10 going to be good? That is hard to know. Obviously, Leto's sitting there with 7, which is pretty scary. But I'm hoping that Tessie is going to take this combat down, basically. That's what I'm bargaining on. And then we get to the Baron, who has the big decision point to make in this situation. What do you do? Shuttle Fleet has been revealed by Leto. Now, Cameron later told me afterwards, he just didn't even realize Shuttle Fleet was there and it didn't register. But even if you do... what do you do in this situation? You've got 6 points. Now, if you go Shuttle Fleet, you are just guaranteed 2 points because you can just take bump here, and that's 2 guaranteed points. Or do you go Highliner, guaranteeing 1 point, but fighting for 2 more? It's a very difficult question. And I think it comes down a lot to your intrigues. Of course, bear in mind, Baron still hasn't used his Sonic Snoopers at this point, and he's been holding on to these intrigues. And I'm getting the impression at this point now that Baron probably doesn't have a lot of combat. Maybe he has, like... if he's got, like, maybe Private Army is about the best I could think he has here. But again, if he goes Highline, he can't use it. So it's a pretty tricky spot for Baron. I think Baron just has to go Shuttle Fleet, because it also helps him buy Spicer Slow, gets to 9. But it is hard to see how Baron gets to 10 victory points reliably, because secrets would have to be left open for him, and there are 3 players that could all just go secrets and get a point on the spot here. So it's a tough one for Baron. I don't really know what's the correct answer in this situation. I think I go Shuttle Fleet here personally, because it just looks so intimidating fighting Leto or Tessia. You've got to have some pretty good battle intrigues to do so. So Baron goes for the highlining, just putting it all out there, hoping it all works itself out. And Leto goes to Carthag with long reach. So Leto is basically forced here to take the bump to the Emperor to protect the Alliance. And he has to take the bump with the Fremen here. But obviously this is pretty uncomfortable because, of course, Leto's got Baron's ambition, which means he can just come here and steal the Alliance, which basically forces my hand. I've got 10 Persuasion, which is a pretty uncomfortable spot to be in, but there's not much I can really do. Sometimes in these situations, like, things just get made for you. Tessia uses her ring to go to the research station so she can infiltrate, courtesy of her invasion ships, which is pretty damn nice. And then she can use her shifting here. Basically, she's able to shift away from the Emperor in order to get hold of a point with the Bene Gesserit, which is pretty nice for her. So she can get the extra point there. Very useful. Our position is forced here. I've got no choice. I have to go Steel Suits in order to protect my alliance. So that's forced. Baron with another sad Steel Suits. Steel Suits Manufacturer is like, when it's rolling, it is such a good card. It is amazing, but if you cut the feet out of under it, it can really suck to have. That getting the water is great, but the alliance is so pivotal to getting the most out of that. So Baron ends up just going to Arakeen, just putting dudes in, not really much else. Baron kind of out of tricks here. Leto pulls out Sleep Must Awaken for a victory point, which is a terrible situation for us. So now if Baron wins the conflict, it's very possible he wins the game, but there is a chance. If I get to 10, and if Leto gets 10, of course, if he wins this conflict, he doesn't gain any spice here. So the hope is that if I can get to 10 points and bulk up enough spice, I might still get him on tiebreakers. Now, we can still go High Council and turn 5 Solari into 2 spice, which might be relevant for tiebreakers. Bear in mind, if Leto wins the conflict, like, he doesn't pick up any spice, so spice tiebreaker might well be relevant here. Have we seen Mahayam or Tessie Humanity? I don't recall seeing either. I mean, I'm very unlikely to get any spice from conflict here, because Tessie's just going Hardy Warriors. So, oh, she's eyeing up the alliance steal from the Bene Gesserit. Oh my god, that's savage. Oh, that is savagery. Oh my god, wow. If Leto hadn't have used this, that might not have happened. I think he used it too soon. Why didn't he wait? Oh my god. Oh, Leto! Why'd you do it so soon? You made yourself a target. I honestly think he doesn't do that. Tessia might go Hardy Warriors instead. Wow. That is kind of crazy. So, High Council's safe, right? 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9. Bypass, I guess, is going to take an X-Engineer, and I don't know where you're buying a third tech, though, is the problem. Oh no! Really? She can draw Duncan Loyal? Oh my god. That's dirty. She's got like the pick off the next card. That is disgusting. Alright then, so High Council it is. That is dirty. Baron might not even win this conflict. The only reason you do that is if you can draw that card. That is horrible for Baron here. What a crazy, miserable spot this is. So the drama unfolds with a savage steal of the Bene Gesserit Alliance. Thinking about it, I think probably she was just going secrets almost every time. But especially when Leto pulls He Must Awaken, and if he wins the conflict, the game just ends on the spot. Tessia has absolutely no choice. There's no debate in that. Has to take the alliance there and then. It's just automatic. She picks up Duncan Loyal. I assume she's a way to draw it so that she can deploy all these troops into conflict. Or the fact that she thought about it with X-Engineer makes you think that actually she was expecting the game to go on around, because now if Leto wins, it only gets to 9, and she can just deploy everything next round, which is obviously pretty scary. But of course, we have other ideas. I do talk about Mahayam, forgetting that Tessia did indeed buy it and has indeed used Bene Gesserit's sister. And I'm thinking, well, if I just... Basically, I'm trying to decide. If I go High Council, I can turn 5 Solari into 2 Spies, which is good for tiebreaker. But of course, if I do that and she plays Mahayam, I'm screwed. My game is an absolute tatters. So if I'd remembered that Tessia had actually got that, and also registering the fact that Leto had now lost the point, I think the right play for me is just to reveal and be done with it and not take that risk. So yeah, this was definitely dangerous, and of course Tessia could have anything at this point, so I think that was, in hindsight, a little too dangerous. If I'd remembered, I don't think I would have done that, but I do it so anyways. Also, bear in mind, when we cash in this specimen, we are going to get a bonus intrigue as well on top of this, so... Unfortunately, we are missing the Emperor point. Or Bene Gesserit point. We can't get both unless I get very lucky. Which might happen. Finesse. Finesse would be awesome. Bribery's gone. We would need the Emperor point. The BG point is being used by Leto. So we're looking for Finesse or the Emperor point. Or something else that gives us a victory point somehow. Grand Conspiracy would be a point, but Tezia looks like she's got it. I mean, I guess Tezia's preparing for next round. Alright, here we go then. So this is going to be busy. So we get that for that. We can cash in that for that. We can then cash in this. Doesn't matter which one we go for now. I guess we take the Bene Gesserit points. For what it's worth. Yeah, sure. Whatever. I don't, it's all random. It doesn't matter which order it comes out in. And I don't think there's anything else. Spice must flow. I think that's everything, right? Oh, and counselors for the 2 spice. It's been a wild match. So Baron gets a 4 spices flow in 7 rounds, which is completely ridiculous. Tezia a bit naughty there, buying the Talaxu bump after me having done my reveal. That's a little bit naughty. Maybe realizing maybe the game actually is going to end here. It's a massive reveal for me, by the way. It's basically, this is a 4 victory point reveal between the bump, the Spiceless Flow, Talaxu point, and stage incident. A 4 victory point reveal is absolutely crushing here. So we go to the conflict and see what's going to happen here. We're hoping that we're good here. Yellow ends up passing, basically, looking to play Harvest Cells, but obviously that's use that after cleanup, basically. It's between cleanup and recall. So basically it's an end of conflict card, so it's basically a pass from there. Leto has nothing to play. Tezia ambushes in order to usurp us for the free spice, but obviously it didn't matter. The whole point of getting hold of Guild Chief Admin there was to get the troops into conflict so I could stage them. Absolutely insane use of the shipping bump, by the way. Like, I've never done that before, but amazing that's how it worked. So giving us our 10th point, the game is over. It won't change. There's nothing that can happen here. There's no alliance of mine that blue can steal, so we're perfectly safe there. So a pretty insane finish to this. It turns out that Stunning Melange is actually what the Baron pulled from the Talaxu bump here. So just pulls a point straight up. How he didn't use Disguised Bureaucrat, though, I don't know. I don't know. Cameron must have just forgot or didn't realize. But it was sitting in his hand, and if he had played it, he could have just at least got hold to a 10th point. It wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have been enough to win the game. But missing that one there. But yeah, putting Stunning Melange just for a point at the death there is pretty nuts. But yeah, so Leto takes it down, getting up to 9 points, but has nothing else to play. Tezzy with no end games. Not a very nice game for Bafko. Definitely struggled in this one. Had Allied Armada, but look at this carnage here. Just an absolute savage war, this. I would have still been tempted as Tezzy to play Allied Armada just to get past Baron, just to recycle intrigue, but what the hell, I suppose. But yeah, this was a wild old match. Great entertainment though. Real good times. But just how it shaped so crazily from obviously Baron looking so deadly frightening early on with TM and just about to just go all in on that. And me deciding to just take everything in hand and just go all on throwing. The throw-in block on Steel Suits and then Hardy Warriors was absolutely key. I figure if I don't do that, Baron wins the game. There's just so many things happening in this one, but it was a good match, definitely. A huge win for me as well. What a game to win with Tezia, Baron, and Leto in the game, and just little Paul Atredies plucking up the win here with a massive reveal turn. Guild Chief Admin was huge, and manages to scrounge points from kind of nowhere for half of it as well. Yeah, really happy with this one. Am I lucky that I won this game? It's debatable. I mean, it's a 4-player game. There's always going to be elements of luck. But this is a game of, like, kind of reacting to the situation and kind of morphing your strategy as you go. And the great thing for me is that Paul Atredies is someone that can definitely morph his strategy a lot. You can kind of flex him about there. He's very flexible. That's his ability, you know, to kind of react to the situation. Getting those full space cards early was huge. Gave me tons of flexibility when I needed it. Blocking, obviously, the Baron's Fremen Alliance was absolutely key. If that doesn't happen, he wins the game. And yeah, it was just a wild fight here. Again, also going heavy with the Emperor of the Spacing Guild, just preventing Lita from ever trying to stop me is also big as well. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Oh, by the way, yeah, Tesia did have Mahayim there, but fortunately she ran out of actions, so she couldn't actually do anything with it, but looks fit. Thank God for that. So yeah, a huge win, one that I didn't expect to get at all. It was a pretty wild match for everyone involved here, but yeah, I really enjoyed it and thought it'd be a good one to showcase for the channel. But what a fight. Yeah, I mean, the Baron was just so ominous early, like, we just had to go for it. Yeah, exactly, like, this is not a game I'm supposed to win. By any stretch of the imagination. This is a game we're supposed to get absolutely murdered in. But we went...
Everything for another one?
I don't know all this. We had to go... Yeah, absolute war this. We had to go all in aggression and just take the fight to the Baron. It was the only way he was ever going to be stopped. We deprived him of water. We killed this. We did our best to blunt that. And he revealed this like 4 times. Yeah, I mean, I guess. But, like, it's one of those ones, it was kind of a bit of a team effort. Like, the table had to stop the Baron. Otherwise, the Baron just wins. You know, I mean, we even sacrificed shipping a little bit as well. We sacked this just to prevent the Fremen stop there. Which was, it was a huge gamble. And I didn't even get my Emperor point in the end. Like, that was lost. I would have got it, obviously, next round. But it would have been very hard to... Curious, what would my next hand have been? Okay, well, I might have got 2 points. Maybe. Maybe. But I will say, the other winner of this game, and this is not something I would say normally, Guild Chief Administrator. This was a massive buy. Because I've got the troop transports, like, getting this, it's triangle access for shipping, but just having that extra shipping bump on a reveal was gonna be a point somewhere. This was an absolutely vital purchase at the towards the back end of the game, just to give me that extra option later on. Absolutely massive, this. So, yeah. So that's my review for this wild match. Again, there's a link of the full games in the description below. I do encourage you to go check it out. One of the more fascinating games that I've been involved in for quite a while, with a lot of discussion with like unnatural reflexes, people talking about the value for that, and all sorts of bits and pieces that have come up as well. So yeah, very happy to win this. I felt like I played well enough to win it and made some real incisive moves at the right times, which played huge for me. Huge game. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you very soon.